Hello again and welcome to day 2 of our journey through Max Ehrmann's poem entitled A Prayer. And as I said yesterday, and if you missed that, we're looking at that poem all this week. It's Max Ehrmann. Ehrmann is spelt E-R-H-M-A-N-N, and you'll get it on the internet if you just type his name plus a prayer. Let me read the next section of this poem. May I still remember the bright hours that found me walking over the silent hills of my childhood, or dreaming on the margin of a quiet river, when a light glowed within me and I promised my early God to have courage amid the tempests of the changing years. Wow, the power of words. Tremendous, isn't it? Let me read it again. May I still remember the bright hours that found me walking over the silent hills of my childhood, or dreaming on the margin of a quiet river, when a light glowed within me, and I promised my early God to have courage amid the tempests of the changing years. It's wistful and it's soulful. A deep reflection, obviously, from later life, looking back on these early years. The big question is, who are we? And that's more important than what do we do or what have we done? What have we become over the years? Now, hopefully there's a resonance, or at least a congruence, between both sides of that, who we are and what we do. At least there should be, and we'd like to think that there would be. But there are many changes over the years. And here we have in these words a reflection on youth. He talks about his early God and the promise that he made. He talks about the bright hours. He talks about the light that glowed within him. Now let me give you two passages from Scripture, both different. The first is from 1 Corinthians 13, famous passage. Paul says this: "When I was a child, I talked as a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection, then we shall see face to face." And here we have the sense that for Paul, he matured as the years went by. He once was a child, but now he's an adult, and he's learned to think adult thoughts. Now contrast that with Jesus in Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. Unless, he says to his disciples, unless you change and become like little children, you'll never enter the kingdom. Wow. So Paul is talking about maturing, leaving childish ways behind. And then Jesus seems to be saying to his disciples, unless you go back to become like little children, you won't enter the kingdom. So what's going on here? Well, let's just use the two terms. One is childlike and the other is childish. They're very different. And in the sense in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, Paul is talking about childish ways and the need to grow up and to mature. And we can't argue with that. But Jesus is talking about something different. That sometimes adults are set in their ways. They've lost the simplicity, the openness, the curiosity of young children. They, in a sense, have lost that sense of passion and idealism. They've maybe become a little bit cynical, as you sometimes do in older age. You become more detached from things. And also the fires of youth can dim and the passions can wane. The enthusiasm takes a dip. And there's a wee bit of that in this poem as well. So I think what Jesus is talking about is becoming childlike so that we are open again with simple innocence to what God has for us. Whereas Paul is talking about childish ways and the need to be mature in our thinking. And it's the first one, I think, that dovetails with Max Ehrmann's words. There was a passion and an innocence and a simplicity and a power about these things that he remembers. When the light glowed within him during times of the bright hours, and he promised his early God that he would be, what's the words? He'd have courage amid the tempests of the changing years. And as he's looking back, there's a little bit of wistfulness there. Now, how about you and me? If we do what Max Ehrmann is doing and reflect on our life, what feelings do we have about these things? I'm quite sure we can identify with a little touch of cynicism the older we get, especially in all the madness around us in our culture and society. We maybe hanker for times when things were simpler, and maybe we've felt that during this lockdown. It's gone back to a quieter pace of life the way it was many years ago. And we're wistful about that. But can I suggest that we look at our own spiritual journey and perhaps the simplicity of early years, the passion and enthusiasm of early years is something we need to recapture. So let's reflect, let's remember these moments, and let's react to them in our memories so that we're engaging with them. And then perhaps we might be able to renew ourselves, to recapture something of that innocence and simplicity and passion and enthusiasm and idealism. Jesus is right. The kingdom requires that we have humility to become, to change, to turn, to go back to being open like little children and learning from the Master, and also allowing God to work in us and with us and through us. Let's reflect on these things in these coming days. Once again, thank you for watching and listening. God be with you, and I'll see you tomorrow.